Political rhetoric rife in Delhi. There are posters splashed all across the national capital, airwaves crackling with political campaign. And today, the BJP will sound the poll bugle by a massive show of strength under the guidance and under the face of Narendra Modi, who would now be the face of the Delhi BJP campaign. Three different visuals that we are getting for you right now at this point of time. One comes directly from the Ramlila Maidan, and this is the latest that we are getting in. Amit Shah talking with Devendra Fadnavis, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Amit Shah has just come in, and everybody knows that the Delhi election is a massive prestige issue for Amit Shah, who himself has taken control of exactly the going on. Well, that is the latest that we're getting in. The build-up clearly spectacular on Modi's mega show of strength. I want to cut across at this point of time. Sanket Upadhyay, the senior news editor, is reporting from the Ramlila Maidan. We also have in the studio with us T.R. Ramachandran, political analyst, Aditi Fadnis, political editor, Business Standard. We'll also be joined in due course of time by Sanjay Kaul from the BJP and a representative from the Aam Aadmi Party. The Congress has not sent a representative, maybe a possible sign of how it has been reduced to a fringe player where the Delhi elections are concerned. I want to cut across to Sanket at this point of time. You know, Sanket, the Congress hasn't sent a representative for this debate that we are having right here, and understandably so. Exactly a year back, elections in Delhi was fought between the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress, and how things have changed today. It is a direct fight between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party, where Congress reduced to a fringe player.
Well, Preeti, from what I gather, from what we have learned, the Congress not sending a representative. The Congress in turn is that they don't want to legitimize the seriousness of Narendra Modi representing the BJP's campaign for the BJP.
Sanket, we're having an audio problem. You know, would you ask your video journalist, Ashwini, to try and fix your audio line, because we are getting a lot of crackle. We're going to try and fix that. Sanket Upadhyay, our senior news editor, is right now picking up the very latest from Ground Zero. We also have Kamaljit Sandhu, Brijesh Pandey, Ankit Tyagi, Ashar Ahmad Khan, tracking details on the very latest emanating on this big developing story. Let me cut across to the studio right now to Mr. T.R. Ramachandran. You know, Mr. Ramachandran, what we were discussing earlier, you know, the Congress seems to be the pigeon who shut its eyes where the cat is at play, because clearly, you know, it's been reduced to a complete fringe play. 1 year back, things were completely different. It was a contest between the Congress and Arvind Kejriwal. Today, there's no Congress.
Well, I think it's been a steady decline for the party, especially from the time that the election campaign for the Lok Sabha, 16th Lok Sabha started. The BJP was right on top thanks to Mr. Narendra Modi, and there was nobody really to counter the BJP or Mr. Modi during that entire phase. I have reasons to believe that the Congress threw in the towel even before the fight at the hustings really began. So at the end of the day, I think even in Delhi, the last election, as you mentioned, Preeti, that the Congress fared very badly. I mean, to end up with 8 or 9 seats is nothing but a real shame for a party which had ruled here for 3 terms, no less than 3 terms.
Right.
So, right now they understand their position. They've been quite realistic about it, and I think that is why the former Chief Minister, Mrs. Sheila Dikshit, has gone on record to say that in a scenario where the AAP might require some help, we are willing to support it.
Right.
As it happened the last time. So, I don't know how much you can really believe these reports which have come, the surveys. But they seem to be going neck and neck if the surveys are to be believed.
Right. And the latest that we're getting in, and I want our, to actually cut across to the Ramlila Maidan, because that is where the story is. It's not in the studio right here. It's right at the Ramlila Maidan. Massive show of strength where the BJP is concerned. Narendra Modi would not be addressing just this one rally, just the beginning of what promises to be about a dozen rallies across the national capital. On the dais with him, he has the likes of Mr. M.L. Khattar, Devendra Fadnavis, right there, 2 electoral victories in the recent past, along with the top leadership of the BJP. I want to cut across to Aditi Fadnis, who's the political editor of Business Standard. She's with us at this point of time as well in the studio. You know, Mr. Fadnis, if you look at the kind of selection of the people on the dais, there seems to be a clear message that is being sent to have a Devendra Fadnavis there, to have an M.L. Khattar right there. You know, these were not chief ministerial candidates. These were picked after an election was won under Narendra Modi. Similarly, what we are going to witness in Delhi.
Well, I think so, because I think Chief Minister hopefuls are very, very careful about saying that they've tried in Delhi at least. I heard Mr. Mukhi yesterday and he was extremely vociferous about saying that there's no dearth of leaders in the BJP, but they will decide the Chief Minister only after the election is over. In the past, that has not been the case. The BJP has decided its Chief Ministerial candidate under pressure from Madanlal Khurana and others, who its Chief Ministerial candidate is going to be. This time there is a significant change, and to charges that the BJP is relying almost entirely on the appeal of Mr. Modi to take it to power. Chief Ministerial candidates, Chief Ministerial hopefuls are extremely frustrated that no Chief CM is going to be announced.
Well, it is a concerted effort, and you look at that right on the stage. You have new chief ministers which were never chief ministerial candidates. It's a clear show that it's happened in 2 other states, it will happen here. On the other hand, you have the likes of Manoj Tiwari, who are right now trying to regale the audiences there, and also with an eye on the Purbi voter, which is a considerable vote bank where Delhi is concerned. So what we are getting in right now is the fact that a rally which was supposed to start at 11 a.m. clearly hasn't. It's past noon. We are expecting the Prime Minister Narendra Modi to reach the venue at about 12:30. Already the top leadership of the BJP is at the venue. Amit Shah, Venkaiah Naidu, the 7 MPs, Meenakshi Lekhi, the 7 MPs who won during Lok Sabha from the BJP, all right now at that dais. So this is where the story is coming from. Trust Headlines today to get you the ringside view of all developments taking place. But let's get you on what's happening outside. What we are getting to know, traffic snarls, various roads of central Delhi completely shut to traffic. So if you are going to be venturing out today, this Saturday afternoon, we would advise you to refrain from using any of those roads that we are giving out right there. There is no traffic plying. All these roads have been completely clamped down, even to public transport. So it's not wrong to actually say that if you are actually a BJP cadre or a BJP supporters today in the national capital, especially where central Delhi is concerned, all roads do lead to the Ramlila Maidan. So would advise our viewers, if they are getting out on the Saturday afternoon, to avoid these roads.
Almost in all states you've got big success except for Jammu and Kashmir. Do you concede that it's going to be slightly difficult in Delhi with the Aam Aadmi party in scenario?
Not at all. Aam Aadmi क्या है? वो तो Aam Aadmi last time भी second था ना. तो बीजेपी फर्स्ट है, अभी भी फर्स्ट होंगे. क्लियर मेजॉरिटी मिलेगा बीजेपी को, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. मूड पूरा देश में मोदी जी के पक्ष में है, बीजेपी के पक्ष में है. आम आदमी कांग्रेस के साथ जुड़े है. अभी शीला दीक्षित जी ने कहा जरूरत पड़े तो आम आदमी को साथ देंगे. तो ये मिली जुली है. तो लोगों को मालूम है दिल्ली वाले बहुत समझदार लोग हैं, और जो भी काम किया केंद्र सरकार ने इस बीच में, उसके कारण से लोगों में और भी बीजेपी का अनुकूल वातावरण बन गया. आसाम से
You always said that Aam Aadmi Party is a B team of Congress Party. Do you stand by that, especially after that this particular?
Definitely, they are definitely B team of the Congress Party. Their ideology and Congress ideology is one and the same. They have taken a vow not to join hands with the Congress and their children, and afterwards they have joined with the Congress and then became Chief Minister, and then he has to resign. So that
Aam Aadmi Party has also questioned the intention of BJP, saying the demand of full statehood. They've also talked about compensation of 1984, security of
anything can be done only with the help of the central government. Central government is BJP, and you have to work in tandem with the central government. What will AAP will do? They will fight with the central government. उससे कुछ फायदा है नहीं. तो केंद्र के साथ मिलकर जो काम करने वाले लोग हैं, उन्हीं को मदद देना चाहिए. दिल्ली का लोग समझदार है, वो जरूर बीजेपी को समर्थन देंगे. They know better because Delhi's prosperity and development is linked with central government cooperation also. So Aam Aadmi will not cooperate with the government of India, and government of India is ready to work with the states. If you get a BJP government here, then the developmental process will be speeded up.
How many seats are you really expecting realistically?
Get into the seats business side.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us. Venkaiah Naidu making it clear that for BJP, or as far as BJP is concerned, Delhi is their main target, and they're going to be concentrating and fulfilling their promises. And obviously a word out for the Delhiites, saying a central government in Delhi and a government of BJP in Delhi will make a better sense. With camera person Vinod, this is Kamaljeet Sandhu in Delhi for Headlines Today. We're on ground zero at Ramlila Maidan and we have with us Meenakshi Lekhi. A big rally out here, but definitely tell us, do you consider it's going to be slightly difficult as far as Delhi is concerned? There's been a good run for the Narendra Modi government, state assembly after assembly, except for J&K. Now, do you concede that it's going to be slightly tough? Because
J&K also has been very good. First time ever in the history in J&K, BJP has got 25. I don't know why people are busy undermining that victory. We are number 2 party in BJP. BJP is number 2 in J&K. I think there are many vested interests who are trying to undermine Mr. Modi's performance and also his strength. And I think the same jargon is going on about Delhi. I don't think that jargon matters because people have reposed their faith in Mr. Modi's governance and we are there to perform.
There seems to be a poster war of sorts. We've seen all the posters of BJP out here, and besides these posters are the posters of Aam Aadmi Party, questioning the BJP on issues of water, issuing the 1984 compensation. There have been other issues of full statehood given to Delhi. Now, how do you really see this one?
I really don't think people who ran away in the run-up to the performance and in 49 days, one needs to answer them. We need to answer the people of this country and Delhi. We shall answer and we have been answering. They are not worth being answered.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us, Meenakshi Lekhi there. And obviously, this is going to be a battle of prestige as far as Delhi is concerned. It is going to be BJP versus the Aam Aadmi Party. With camera person Vinod, this is Kamaljeet Sandhu in Delhi for Headlines Today.
Well, Meenakshi Lekhi right there stating that Aam Aadmi factor really doesn't count. On the other hand, Sambit Patra linking the fight in Delhi to the fight which Narendra Modi and Arvind Kejriwal fought in Banaras, but practically the stakes here extremely different. And I want to bring in at this point of time our studio guest, T.R. Ramachandran, political analyst, Aditi Fadnis, editor, political editor, Business Standard. We are also, I believe right now, I'm being told, joined by Mr. Sanjay Kaul from the BJP. I want to go across to Mr. Ramachandran first. You know, Mr. Ramachandran, we just heard Sambit Patra there, the other BJP leaders as well, completely, saying that the Aam Aadmi Party really doesn't, the factor doesn't quite matter. And trying to link what happened in Varanasi to what is happening here, the stakes are completely different when it comes down, to Delhi, isn't it? And more so, if this fails, then who is liable? Then you're going directly to the top leadership, which is Narendra Modi.
That's very true, but let's understand one thing, that there's been a complete change in the style of functioning of the BJP. I think the BJP is virtually eating out of the hands of the RSS, the ideologue of the BJP. And if you notice here, the 3 chief ministers who have been appointed have been RSS activists and handpicked by none other than the Prime Minister himself. So there is a definite shift in the choice of candidates. That is precisely why, as Aditi said a little while ago, that all those chief ministerial aspirants are extremely guarded and not willing to push their names, as was evidenced in the past. And therefore, I think this whole silence on who is going to be chief minister and whether there is a chief minister nominee or competent person to be the chief minister existing in Delhi remains to be seen. But somebody in Delhi will go who will obviously have to be a RSS chap if they get a majority on the vote.
All right, we're going to keep coming back to you. Let me quickly introduce Sanjay Kaul to our debate right here, and with what we are tracking.